next order of business would be the Lowe's account. And the problem we have, you all council, as you all know, that the check, the gentleman came and Councilman Edie, you were there with him, as well as, Mr. Mixon, Roy Mixon, and, the clerk and myself, when he came with the check, with the, agreement for the Lowe's account, which is to install 331 linear feet of Providence heavy-duty 4-inch decorative aluminum fence at City Cemetery, and install 3 double arch gates, Providence 2 12-inch and 1 8-inch, installed in 4x4 heavy-duty posts. So we have the check, the clerk has a check that is waiting to be signed by the council members whose signatures are on the account. So we've got council. Clerk, would you rather elaborate on that?
Sure. Mr. Small has been told us he is not signing anymore. He's out there in his tolls, and we could not reach her today that the gentleman was in town to pick up the check. Nobody told us that he had to be paid in advance. We did not know that until he walked in the building. And then we couldn't get anybody to sign the check, so he has not been paid.
Well, if Mr. Smallwood can sit down there and refuse to sign a check, so can I.
Nobody would sign it, so that's where we are. So
Because his name on there just like mine's on there.
So
And
if
I'm not gonna do all the signing when we all on there together.
well, we can get it done after we get the signature cards changed to the bank, hopefully this week. Because I know I don't mind signing, I'm sure Mr. E would be glad to sign it. But it's just a matter of getting all the paperwork done at the bank now. Be glad to sign it.
I offer a motion then, that after we get the new signature cards, then we can, go ahead and sign those, account.
Motion has been made, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it, any opposed? Next, we have insurance. At the last meeting, we know that, Attorney Boone was given, the go-ahead to check into the official liability and the legal law liability. So what's the status of that?
Well, Mayor, the prospect of getting insurance is difficult at best. The question is what the city needs, our understanding is we certainly need immediately public officials and law enforcement liability. Whether you're gonna need an entire quote for the entire, city that you went through, basically like you went through last year for everything is another question. But with the public officials and law enforcement liability alone, there are issues when you go to talk about, could you please insure the city for that? And the insurance companies have viewed YouTube videos and news reports about public officials and law enforcement not
Put that
seeing
in.
eye to eye.
And just because we don't see eye to eye and they refuse to cover you?
Well, ma'am, if you've got,
I mean,
you got the
you
city
gotta know
officials
all of this.
arguing with the law enforcement, you want public official liability and law enforcement liability.
But what?
Any insurance company who's insuring those liabilities are going to take a moment to decide, they're gonna have to seriously consider whether they want to insure over that.
Right, and I was looking at that, and reading about that, with all of that, but see, prior to my coming in 2014, all of these lawsuits were before, I would say in layman's term, transpired before my becoming mayor. The only one that came under the tenure, during the administration of 2014 was the EEOC lawsuits. So just that alone, not taking into consideration that now prior to all of this, with the erupting with the disruption of the citizens, now mind you, that should have had bearing. I think that's what you're talking about, am I right?
No, ma'am. The insurance companies do their homework very well, and they're on top of current events. and what's
Based
going
on, and I hear what you're saying, but based on that, I was told different.
Well, I'm speaking specifically of a report that was recently in the media between the mayor and a law enforcement officer. That's difficult to get law enforcement liability and public official liability when you have media like that out there and that kind of attention on the city. You've got to show that you can work together and everybody can, you know, function as a cohesive unit in order for someone to ensure that entity.
And understandably, you're correct, but when you've got the, citizens out of order and no control, then that has to be taken in consideration, that where is it all stemming from?
I can't speak to
And
that.
caused by
Mayor,
whom?
right
And so that's something, and I'm glad you brought that up, because that's something now maybe they will take in consideration, that based on that, their actions, that this is a problem. And so, with all of this that's being said, then Gordon doesn't need to have this reputation. I'm sure prior to my coming in, and I've come to every council meeting that I attended previously, attorney, Mayor Turner never, ever experienced any of this because he had control. None of them came and spoke out and disrespected him and did to him what they're doing here, these council meetings. I assure you. Thank you.